What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Marky Mark here. Now, what you can see right now, I don't have the actual game behind me, but I do have a tier list maker. Now, I've been playing this game since it very first came out, so I'm very familiar with the PvP scenes. And right now, with PvP Season 3, with the collateral damage towers, the meta right now has changed a lot because you are pretty much just trying to get the collateral damage from the side towers instead of you just going straight to the enemy main tower. So the minis switch up. So this is going to be a tier list of which minis are going to be pretty much godlike and which minis are going to be kind of useless. Now, these are just straight minis. I'm not going to be talking about the leaders. I'll save that for a separate video. And categorize it in four different aspects. So there's triple S, which means it's pretty much godlike. Everybody's gonna have it in their decks right now. It's I'm gonna tell you where it works well also, but it's also there's double S, which is the mini is still good. It's just not the best, but it could, get up there. Now we got A. So there's going to be a few units that's going to be in A where it's just there to be on the deck, but it's not really as used. There's going to be some minis that I'm going to be putting for that. And then a fourth one called needs a buff. So they've been changing a lot of minis lately. And if you guys saw the hot patch or hot fix patch recently, they actually nerfed, I believe, the safe pilot a lot. And that's actually going to change a lot in this tier list. So if you guys gonna see me why, and I'm going to talk about why. So that's pretty much going to be how the tier list is going to be. But before I get started, I greatly appreciate it if you subscribe down below, as well as give this video a thumbs up. I'm making a lot of Warcraft Rumble videos, and I feel like this is going to be one of the most informative ones that I'm going to be talking about because I'm fully going to go over every single unit. And I also have this website that's also going to show which unit and all the talents that they have. So starting things off right now, we'll go for the first one, which is pretty much the same thing. We're going for Abomination. Abomination is a tank. It's an undead melee unit, but it also does AoE damage. But it hooks the opponent, right? So it is 6 gold, which is a lot. So if you notice in PvP, you try to go for minis that cycle units that's like just 2 gold, 3 gold, or even less, right? 1 gold. Um, because tanks are good, but a lot of units tend to counter tank units, and it saving 6 gold is pretty hard, especially if it's a fast-paced game, especially with its collateral damage. You need a lot of not reflexes, but you need more units to just defend more than be a tank, right? So there's 3 different talents right now: Noxious Presence, poison nearby enemies every 3 seconds, Cannonball and deploy, and at 50% stun nearby enemies for 5 seconds, or Fresh Meat. After hooking a target, deal double damage on the next attack. Now, it really depends what they use for the talent for Abomination. What I have it on right now is Cannonball. Because when you deploy it, it's at 50% health. When they are attacking it, you could stun the nearby enemies for 5 seconds, which helps out a lot, especially if you have the Abomination with other units to surround it, right? But because it is a tank, it is something that's not fully going to help you right now. It's not really that good, even if you use it with any undead deck. It's good for PvE, sure, but we're talking about PvP right now. So I'm gonna put Abomination in A. The reason why is just because for 6 gold, I mean, I get you are a tank, but for 6 gold, it's really not a lot of health. 3,400 health is really nothing compared to the 6 gold to, let's say, the Golem, or 3,400 health could be a Quillbore, So I put Abomination at A, starting off with that. And let's go to, I believe, let's go to the next one. Next one would be the chicken. So Angry Chickens, as you can see right here. It's a beast unit. It's also melee and a squad. And it's weak against area damage. Now, angry chickens, there's I believe like maybe 8 of them, which is a lot. It's a cycle unit, and it's pretty fast. They move pretty fast, but it's so easy to counter them because any spell can literally kill them. Any AoE damage unit, aerial, or even ground units can just kill the chickens, right? There's only 25 health. DPS is pretty fast, 40. Damage is 40. Um, and then looking at the talents right now, you got Sacrifice. Nearby beast allies can consume a chicken to heal themselves. Walking Crate. Deploy in a protective crate. One destroyed chickens emerge. Or Furious Fowl. Gain Fury. So, a lot of people like to use Walking Crate. The reason why, it's just because it's a crate that could probably just sustain 1 damage and then all these chickens just come out. You tend to want to use this type of unit kind of for defense or just maybe like throw off the opponent when they used up all their gold to defend another side. You bring all these angry chickens to just either destroy a base or get to the tower. But a lot of decks counter this, so it's not really the best unit, especially for 2 gold for you to use for PvP right now. So I'm gonna put Angry Chickens in A as well. Now the next one is gonna be Arcane Blast, I believe. Yeah, Arcane Blast. So this is an elemental. It deals elemental damage and is strong versus armored units. So it does a lot, pretty good damage as well. And there's how many levels it is? I think you could play this like 3 or 4 times, but the gold increases every single time you use it. Honestly, this is only good to be playing with the blood mage Thanos. Yeah, blood mage Thanos. It would be great because he has a passive ability of, increasing his stats when a spell is being used, right? So, as much as how good this spell is, like amplification, sequential taps increase radius by 1, arcane power, spell sequence starts at rank 3 and ends at rank 4, or turret gain a level after casting level or rank 4. So, personally, I don't really use arcane blast like that. It's just because I don't really use blood mage Thanos that much. Um, but right now, it's not really much in the meta anyway. So I'm gonna put him in A as well. Now, granted, this is my opinion, right? In the end of the day, this is from all the units that I be playing through my decks. So yours could be in a different tier, but I'm pretty much at the 9,000 area. So I'm kind of familiar what the meta is, pretty much up there or near the 10,000s. So we're talking about the longevity right now, not at the 1,000 or 2,000 ranking, right? Next one, Banshee. Now, Banshee is actually really good. Um, but it's only good to be used when you are using it at the right moment. So the reason why I say that, because this is a unit where if you can't kill it in one hit, it'll pretty much just steal your mini, right? It's an undead unit. It's not unbound, so you can't just, put it anywhere you want. But can you imagine though, if you put it as an unbound, now that will change this mini and its rank where I'm gonna put it. But this mini, the main talent that I used on it is Will of the Necropolis. The reason why I say that, fully heal the possessed target. Now, if the enemy has an OP unit or an OP leader, put the Banshee, and hopefully if those units does not kill it in one shot, it can just take over. Now, if it's mainly used for defense. If you are being targeted, you want to go for, let's say, a tank, let's say a golem, right? A golem is trying to take your tower, it's by yourself. You put the Banshee, you take over the golem, and then with the Will of Necropolis, you get a full health golem that you never even had in your deck. Now go for the enemy base, right? See how OP that is? So, but the thing is, the enemy can actually kill before the Banshee possesses the unit, right? You can't just fully possess the unit because any spell or any one shot units that can kill this unit, it can suck, right? And it is 4 gold, so that's also something that you got to think about. But because of that, it is a pretty OP unit right now. I'll put it at SS. It's pretty good because it can help you with the defensive side. It was gonna be in an A, but a unit that could steal enemy units is really good. So next one is I'm gonna skip Baron. I don't want to talk about Baron because he's a leader. We'll go for Bat Rider. Now, Bat Rider is a pretty good unit. It's only 2 gold. It's a horde unit and it's also a flying and AoE unit. Now this Bat Rider just throws like flame balls or flame potions that can either just hit the surface around enemies and it's not gonna kill them in one shot. It does deal pretty good burn damage. I'm not gonna lie. If you look at it right here, the health is not the greatest, right? But area damage, DPS is pretty decent. Range is pretty good. So let's change. So the max is 30. But let's talk about let's just put these at like let's say 15 because I'm sure majority of you guys that are gonna be watching this, we're gonna talk in a quote unquote free to play perspective on where everyone's minis would be. So let's talk about the minis at level 15. So that's where I kind of screwed up in the other units. They're all just level 1. So the stats change, but me explaining how to use the unit, it's all still the same, right? So let's say 15. Health is pretty decent, attack speed is pretty good, area damage is pretty good, and it's just for 2 gold. For 2 gold, it's actually really good. So I'm actually gonna put Bat Rider at SS because it's pretty much up there. A lot of people do use the Bat Rider. Next one, Blizzard. Now, if you guys have been watching a lot of my videos from the past, I know I did delete a majority of them, if not all of them. Um, I always speak highly of Blizzard. I feel like Blizzard is my favorite spell in the game. It's the most useful spell in not just PvP, but PvE and also because it does so much damage. So let's put this back to level 15. For 4 gold, it's an alliance spell, but it's AoE. There's a talent. I usually use Cold Snap as well, even though it says best right here. It freezes enemy troops in place, which is amazing because you can freeze them and just, you could either use unbound units to finish off the enemy, or it even does a lot of damage to where you could just take out the base. It's very useful. My personal favorite, and I am very bias on this where I say this Blizzard is going to be in Triple S because a lot of people use Blizzard to just save them in so many instances of almost dying, right? So, next one, Blood Mage Thanos. Like I said, I'm not going to be talking about leaders. I'm going to skip that. Bloodhuff, I'm going to skip that as well. Let's go to Chain Lightning. Now, Chain Lightning is actually a pretty good spell as well. I'll put this up there with the Blizzard, but I'm going to talk about it first and say why. Because it's just a psycho unit. It's just 2 gold. So it can't just fully one-shot enemies or all enemies. It could do it for like, the Angry Chickens or, just small units that doesn't have a lot of health. And you could actually, it has a pretty good large area of when deploying. So the Brilliant Flash is the best one that it shows on deploy stun enemies within for 1 second. So it just stuns them. But I actually like to use what's that called? Storm's Reach, dramatically increase jump distance between targets. Because when you're kind of in this position where the enemy has so many units deployed, but they're kind of far from each other, like let's say the Blizzard can't even reach, Chain Lightning does. But it can't kill all of them, but it does deal a decent amount of damage. Now, I'll put Chain Lightning up here because a lot of people does use lightning. I feel like all the spells people use, except for Arcane Blast. I'm sorry, I know you guys are gonna probably hate me for that, but Chain Lightning is gonna be up there as well. Charlga, I'm gonna skip that because it's a leader. Now Cheat Death. Cheat Death is an okay spell. Some people use it, some people don't use it. what it does, it pretty much gives your minions a variation before dying on just dealing some damage or whatever it's going to be trying to do, right? Um, a lot of people use vampirism. Effective minis are healed when dealing damage. This spell, it's for your minis. It can't really help the enemy minis. It's not really gonna do too much of a difference, especially with how fast the season 3 is, and with this collateral damage. Cheat death is actually not that useful for this meta right now. Um, yeah, I don't use it as much. Not a lot of people would even use it as much either. So I'll put it at A, because it's still pretty decent, but I know for a fact not a lot of people use it. So I'm gonna talk about the Chimera, but in this tier list maker, unfortunately, I don't think the Chimera is even on here. So I'll talk about it and I'll tell you where I put it, but it's not gonna show on here. Chimera, honestly, I was hyped about the Chimera at first when it released, but it's not really the greatest. Surprisingly, it's not really the greatest because this also got a quote unquote buff when the safe pilot got nerfed. But this Chimera, it's not the best because it is 5 gold. Now, I feel like this unit is only good if you play it with Rend Blackhand. The reason why, once you deploy Rend, all the aerial units have all it takes out is 1 gold to be deployed, or 1 less gold. So instead of 5 gold, it's gonna be 4, right? But if you deploy the Chimera by itself, the health's not really the best. Sometimes it's like it's easy to just one shot this enemy, or by the time these enemies, because they are very slow, get to an enemy base, they'll probably be either more than half health already dead, or if not dead. For 5 gold, it's not really the best either. And the damage that it deploys sucks. Like, I feel like for me personally, the Drake is so much better than this Chimera. Chimera does look cool, but I feel like this needs a buff, like heavily. So I would put it at needs a buff. Unfortunately, it doesn't show here as you can see, but that's where I would put it, right? So next one is Core Hounds. Now, these are actually pretty OP units for what it is if you know how to use them. Let's say level 20, right? This is the core hounds that I go against in PvP. Majority of it is always level 20, right? So these core hounds, there's two. So you pretty much have two tanks, right? And you could actually deploy it in the middle and have them separate in two different areas, which is great. The reason why I say that is because people would use this talent called what's that called? Eternal Bond. This one, yeah. Because resurrection range is unlimited. So what that means is if someone kills one of the core hounds, the other one is gonna take, I believe, like 5 seconds or so to try and revive it. But the enemy does have enough time to counter it to just kill the second one as well, so they don't have to keep reviving each other. But if the enemy does not have a deck that does counter it to just kill it right away, it is a pain in the ass to kill. Now it is for 6 gold, but it's very worth it. And I would use it as well. So I'm actually gonna put these to triple S because that's where they belong, these core hounds. Now, Dark Iron Miner. Now, this was an SSS ASAP right away back in like season 1, maybe even season 2, those maps. But now because it's season 3 and all the maps just go cycle through, it's not really up there anymore. The reason why I say that, because not everyone is trying to you can't really dominate the game anymore when you're getting more gold than the other person. It's sad to say, but with this collateral damage enchant thing where you're pretty much once your tower is gone, you're losing 20%. The game goes by so fast. You don't really have enough time to be mining extra gold because honestly, you're just going to be losing right away, right? So, as much as how good this Dark Iron Miner is, because it's not just gold, it does have pretty good health and it does deal damage to enemy units right after you get all the gold from the mine, right? People use the Talent Gold Mine. After mining, drop a Proximity Mine, damages nearby enemies one touch. For 2 gold, it's really good as well, but it does take over a slot. You already have your own miner. It is not a Dark Iron Miner, but this not much needed in this meta at the moment. So I'm gonna put him at A. Sadly, I would have put him at SSS if it was still like season 1 or season 2. But Dark Spiritual. Now, Dark Spiritual, you guys already know where I'm going to be putting this thing because it is pretty much the best unit in the game. I kid you not. Because of the talent that it has. Now, let's say everybody's Dark Spiritual is like level 20. The amount of damage that it does is a lot. Attack speed is pretty fast. It's a ground unit. It has decent amount of health. 3 gold. The main talent that you're going to use on it is regenerating 20% health every second. A unit that regenerates health every second is really OP. The fact that you can kill leaders so quick with this thing, the fact that you can kill all aerial units with this thing, it's ridiculous. So I don't have to speak too much about it. You guys know why. Dark Spiritual, I'm putting that at triple S. So let's go for the next one. So I don't have this personally because I have not beat Anixia yet. But seeing from other content creators like Excoudrel and I forgot the other one. I'm sorry. I believe the Arclight battery. Those are the two that I know would use Deep Breath because they're already level 150 and beat the game. Um, this is another spell. It's Deep Breath. You only unlock it if you beat Anixia. So honestly, only 10% of people have this to experience it in PvP. So this is just me talking about this spell, putting it in where I think it belongs in this tier list by reading the talent of what it does and for what it is, right? So it's a Black Rock spell, which is the only Black Rock spell I believe. Um, it strikes with a dragon's breath in any direction, dealing elemental damage to enemies in the line of fire. So it's like a spell where you could just cast and you could actually change the direction of where it goes, either horizontal or just any angle that you want, right? The talents, I guess the best is Double Dragon, cast a second wave in the opposite direction. So that's actually really interesting. So it's like 2 different deep breaths. So you could just cover the whole map, which is actually pretty good. There's another one, attunement, allies con effect gain resist. So that's actually not too bad as well. And melting point, damaging armored enemies removes their armor. So there's actually a really good spell. Unfortunately, I cannot experience it because I am so far away from beating Anixia. I feel like I don't even have the unit strong enough for that. Um, but seeing this and seeing how they use it, it's actually pretty decent. So we'll put this at SS. Just leave it as that. Don't kill me. Let's go for the next one. Defias Bandits. Now, Defias Bandits is actually a really good troop because it is just for 1 gold. It's stealthy and weak on their own, but will sneak up and stun enemies while your damage dealers open fire. Now, this is weak against area damage, and let's say for level 20, it has pretty decent, it has pretty decent stuff because the damage that it does and the health that it has, it can actually just obliterate a lot of enemies if you know how to use them to defend, right? So a lot of people use the talent Picklock. You earn an extra +2 gold when opening chests. Now they use this for some maps to just gain the extra advantages for the opening the chest, but a lot of people would probably use Last Resort because Undead stun the enemy for 3 seconds. So for 1 unit, you help them stun. It's a good way to use them as defensive units. I'll actually put these guys as SSS. So that's really good, right? Next one, my favorite, the Drake. Just because I said my favorite, it is still gonna be up there. It really is still gonna be up there. It has traits. Elemental deals elemental damage. It's strong versus armored. Now this Drake is perfect to go against the freaking guards. You know, the little guards. I'll go over with that later. But it's a Black Rock unit, a flying unit, and it does AoE. You guys already know this is already really good. The health is great, area damage is great, DPS is great, attack speed is great. You know where I'm going to be putting this. And the best talent, and I'm so mad that I found this talent last. Like I had to get my Drake to epic to actually just enjoy this talent. But Mother Drake is the best one. Periodically summons a whelp egg. Now, it literally summons a whelp egg everywhere in the map. And that helps out so much. And I hate the fact that I had to get this to epic for me to experience that, because I did engulfing flames first, I believe, and then I went to roost, because this was in the very beginning of the game. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know the main minis that people are gonna use. Hello, right? But you already know where I'm gonna put him. Drake, I'm gonna put him to SSS. um Drakasat's another leader I'm gonna have to skip. Earth Elemental. Earth Elemental is actually a really good unit as well. I started to use this Earth Elemental a lot. Before I didn't, but now I really do. So this is a unbound unit. You could deploy anywhere in the map, and you could pretty much bring this in front and catch the enemy off guard, or just sneak up to get a tower for 3 gold. You see how it has 5700 health. That's a lot of health for 3 gold. When if you go earlier, the abomination only had 3500. But then again, looking back at it now, I think it was just level 1 anyway. It wasn't level 20. So abomination, I guess, would still have more health anyway. But for 6 gold, I'm sure the earth elemental still has the same amount of health for it. I mean, of course, it's different units, but this is one of the better tanks in the game, because you want the lower amount of gold to cycle through your units to just beat the enemy, not just defend, but to also attack. A lot of people use for the talent Obsidian Shard, because on death it splits into 2 smaller earth elementals. So on top of killing this guy that has 5700 health, you'll have to kill 2 more right after that. So that's pretty OP. Put him at SSS. And then let's go for the next one. Thorison, another leader I'm gonna have to skip. Now execute. Oh my god, execute. Really good spell. And when everyone was with the mana for Jaina, such an annoying spell. Because it's actually still good with Jaina, honestly. But it's a spell that just slices through enemies' HP in half. It does so much damage in enemy towers. It's and then for 3 gold, and then if you have Jaina, it's just 2 gold. It's stupid, man. I'm not gonna lie. This spell pissed me off so much because I would just lose so fast when people just spam this spell all the time. But the best talent for you to use is Bloodthirsty, because blood lasts allies within the spell area for 10 seconds. People tend to use the execute now for the defensive strategy instead of just trying to just steal a tower. But if you want to just steal a tower, I would use overpower. It knocks enemies away from the cast location, because when they deploy their troops near their tower that you want to just, especially the side tower that you want to just kill off right away, it knocks them back pretty far. So I don't have to say anything more. You already know that's gonna be at triple S. Now the next one is gonna be the fire elemental. Fire elemental is actually really good as well. For 4 gold, it's pretty good. Let's see. Wow, it actually has a lot of health for level 20. So it's resistant to elemental damage. And it's actually pretty good for the area damage and DPS. It's really good actually. Um but the main talent that people use is Immolation Aura, because it periodically damages nearby enemies. So you don't have to kill it for it to inflict burn to the other enemy team. Now, you could use Molten Core on Death Summon a pool of lava, damaging enemies within, but that lava only lasts for like 5 to 10 seconds, so it doesn't really do too much. But for as another tank, it's actually really good and people still use it. So I'll put him at SS. Not SSS, it's just because he's pretty slow. So these top SSS units and spells are pretty fast, and they're more reliable in battle. They're not really gonna There's more to them, right? But SS is, like I said, it's just a tier below. That could have been up there. But let's just move over to the next one. Next one is going to be Firehammer. Now, Firehammer, um, a lot of people actually just stopped using this. I mean, that's me as well. The reason why, because it's just single target, right? For 4 gold, it being single target, I mean, it does have decent health. It does really good damage. And even Blazing Speed Fury builds up 40% higher. Um, for 4 units, I'd rather use the Flame Waker, and we'll get to the Flame Waker soon. But I'd rather go for AoE damage than single target any day, especially with the meta for season 3. Unfortunately, I have to put this at A because it's not really the best. No one's gonna be using the Fire Hammer that much. Now, Flame Waker, like I said, we're gonna we're gonna go for the Flame Waker, right? The same thing, level 20 has really good health. It does really good area damage. Its DPS is good, range is good. You usually pair this behind tanks and you're just leaders in general, but it's a ranged unit that does AoE, right? It could either just hit like aerial units or ground units, and it's AoE. So for 4 gold, why would you want to go for the other one if you could go for the Flame Waker, right? Best talent that you can use is Engulf. Damaging enemies burns them. Um, I guess that's the best one. I forgot what I use. I think I use Engulf as well, or Heat Stroke, whichever one of those two. But you already know that's going to be really good. Put at SSS. And then let's go for the next one, which is the Footman. Now, oh my god, I love using the Footman. It doesn't even sound right. But going against them is honestly a pain in the ass. It's just because it's so hard to kill them. And there's 4 of them, right? And if you pair it with a healer, the healer that's so annoying to use, or Tyrion, it's another annoying leader to use. It's just going against. I mean, if you're using it, it's great. It's not saying an easy win, but you get the upper hand. But these guys are a pain to just kill because the talent of fortification, because they gain 30% extra empty health, they can just heal up so fast. They don't die so easily, and you could also just deploy them separately as well. I mean, a lot of them just been deploying them all together, but some of them want to deploy them separately as well. Um, you guys know if you're pretty much up there. A lot of people use this in PvP. I'm gonna have to put it at the SSS. All right, so for the next one, oh man, another OP unit, the Gargoyle. Now, this is an undead unit, flying unit, it's a tank. It does not hit any enemy units, only the towers. But it's pretty fast for the most part. Has really good health for it to be 4 gold. And there's different talents that people use, but they use Wing Buffet or Buffet. I don't know what you want to say it. But it increases the move speed by 33%. This just going straight through the tower, and I swear to God, the damage is ridiculous. If it just focuses on the tower, I think like in 4 or 5 swipes, the tower is gone. And the thing is, it's just getting to the tower. Getting to the tower is such a pain because a lot of people have their builds set up to go on the defense mode of just either the Dark Spiritual or Harpies to just try to get this Gargoyle out of there. But Gargoyle is really good. I'm gonna have to put Gargoyle at the SSS. And going for the next one, Ghoul. Now, a lot of people tend to use Ghoul from here and there. It is a pretty good tank for just for 2 gold, 6,000 health at level 20. It's not too bad. It's a high health unit. It's good at soaking tower damage. So for 2 gold, that's really great. For any undead deck, people use Bone Shield, cannibalizing grants armored for 10 seconds. Um, I think what I had was cannibalizing grants bloodless for 10 seconds. That's what I had, but that's probably why I didn't know the full capacity of it because I don't have Bone Shield talent unlocked on him, so I barely use him. But I would put him at SS because for 2 units for a high HP tank, it's pretty good for that PvP scene right now. Now, the next one, If I could click on it. Null Brute. It's another tank. Um, it's pretty fast, I guess. It's the same thing. It's another cycle unit, I believe. No, it's not a cycle unit. It's just a tank. But it's deals pretty good damage for 3 gold, and that's why I said cycle. I forgot because the talent, because you when you use the rabbit, because that's what I had, it reduces the deploy cost, so it's just 2 gold, and it gains the cycle trait. So yeah, that's why I said it's a cycle unit. um for 2 gold, technically really good health. It's kind of like the tank before that I just showed, but it's okay. It's not no one's honestly using it right now, so I'll put it as SS. This one, oh my god. Oh my god. This is the best unit right now at this meta at with this stupid collateral damage. This goblin sapper is single-handedly the most annoying unit in season 3. Oh my god. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's a cycle unit. When you deploy it, the only thing for you to even use every single time is always gonna be I forgot what it was, the smoke bomb. Because the moment you use the smoke bomb on these guys, if there's no spell in place or it's just running in front of an enemy unit, the smoke bomb, they're not gonna see it, right? But once these two literally just connect to the tower, your tower is gone. Literally. So you could just spam this in the beginning of the game, throw the enemy off. It does so much damage to the towers. It's so annoying. This is strictly an SSS unit for Season 3 PvP. The number one SSS unit, I swear to God. And people use rocket powered turbo boots as the talent because it moves twice as fast and gains the fast straight. Because there's no point of extra boom because you don't need 3. 2 is already enough to kill the tower, right? And plus you're pairing it with the smoke bomb anyway. Bro, this unit is unkillable. It's really unkillable. Unless you have like, Blizzard or the Chain Lightning in place waiting for it. That's the main one. Growmash, another leader. Griffin Rider. Griffin Rider, a lot of people have been using Griffin Rider a lot, especially right now with the new leader. Griffin Rider is really good because it is just a flying unit and it's a single target unit. It does have really great damage and health, but I mean, the talent says Mighty Throw as the main talent, but everybody's been using Airdrop because it periodically drops a potion, leveling up the first ally to touch it. Leveling up and or having an upper level unit is a huge difference in the PvP scene at season 3. Um, so people put the Griffin Rider in front, and then you could even put your leader right behind it or a tank right behind it just to gain that extra level because that one level difference does impact everything a lot. So I'm actually going to put the Griffin Rider here at SSS. Next one. Oh my god, my favorite units to use. Harpies. Now, Harpies is single-handedly, other than the Dark Spiritual, the main unit that everybody's going to be using in the game, whether it's in your decks for PvE or PvP. It's a squad unit. It's has enough damage to just obliterate the enemy right away if there's no spell or anything that can just kill it. Attack speed is great. The talents that's best used is Infectious Swipe because it gains poison. People would prefer the poison than Talon Dive by dealing double damage on the first attack. But a lot of people actually use Trinket Collectors, so it gains the minor trait, cost increased by 1. So what they use by Trinket Collectors, people actually use that in any Ren Blackhand deck because it the cost increased by 1, which is going to be 4 gold, I believe. But because you play Ren first, it's going to go back to 3. Now you don't need a Dark Iron Miner or the Miner because these Harpies can literally just get the gold fast and kill the units at the same time, which is really OP. I don't have to speak too much about it. I'm putting it at SSS. You guys already know. Next one is Harvest Golden. Um, Personally, I don't use it as much. Other people would like to use it. But it's another tank. I feel like we have a lot of tanks in this game. It's a hardy melee abomination with a trick up its sleeve. After its first death, it will shock itself back to life. So, it's a tank that actually resurrects. It reborns at 50% life. So, it's actually pretty good. It's an alliance unit for just 3 gold. You have a tank that's pretty annoying to kill because once it dies, it self resurrects and reborn at 50%. That's ridiculous. It's like just deploying the harvest golem all over again for no extra gold charge, right? Now, people use the talent Unstable Core. On death, stun nearby enemies for 3 seconds. Um, the Bountiful Harvest is actually a pretty good talent. On death, apply a heal over time effect to nearby allies. So that's actually really good as well to just heal all the allies that you have. So I'll put them at SSS because that's actually another really great unit. Um, Hogger, another leader. I'm gonna skip that. Holy Nova. Now, Holy Nova, a lot of people actually use this for the Tyrion decks. Because it's a heal, right? All right, it does elemental damage, but it also heals your allies at the same time. Now, for 3 gold, it is an alliance spell. People use the talent Inner Fire. Affected allies gain armored and resist for 5 seconds. So you're gonna put Tyrion and then your footman, and then you're gonna put Holy Nova right after it, and your healer. It's just GG right there. Like it's so hard to just kill it. No one's gonna have anything to counter it. Putting Holy Nova, I'm putting it to SSS because it is such an annoying thing to use. Huntress. Now, Huntress is actually still really good, but I feel like it's just not up there anymore. I feel like for 5 gold, people would rather use something else, especially with the fast pace environment of the season 3. No one really uses Huntress anymore. So I can't put her to SSS, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. So it is a range unit, it's weak against single target units, right? Elven Might is the best talent that people are using. Deal 50% additional damage to the initial target. I actually use Shadow Meld. It gains stealth and ambush, so it doesn't die right away. But the reason why I can't put it to SSS is because the wolf or the werewolf um just automatically kills it right away. Or just a lot of units counter Huntress now, or like I guess with everybody's strategies, so it's easier to counter this unit. So I can't put it to SSS anymore. But before it was SSS right away, single-handedly, right? Next one is Jaina. Or no, not even next one. That's another leader. I'm sorry. Next one would be Living Bomb. Now, Living Bomb is actually really good, but for the amount of gold that it costs, it's not worth it whatsoever. It deals elemental damage, is strong versus armored units, right? But for 5 gold, it's not really the best because you'd rather use something else for 5 gold, like even Huntress at this point, right? It plants a bomb on a group of enemies that all blow up for excessive collateral damage. The more the flamier, right? Um, Burden of Fate is the best talent. It affected enemies are dazed. Now this is a good unit to try and counter the footmen. Honestly, you could. I don't know if you can just one shot them. Probably not. But for 5 units, I could just invest it into like harpies or some other cycle unit that could just kill the enemy right away. So the living bomb ain't the best. I'm actually gonna put it in A because it's not really up there. Now, Maeve Shadow Song, another leader I'm gonna have to skip. Meat Wagon. Meat Wagon fell off. I mean, it does have a huge range for everybody, but it's not a lot of people use it. It doesn't really do that much damage anymore. Um, the talent that people use is increase fillet tray bucket increases bombard rage by +2. The range is OP. I'm not even gonna lie. The range is so far on this meat wagon. But right now, not a lot of people be using it. Actually, honestly, especially me, I don't use it. Meat wagon. I'm gonna put this to A. Um, Next one. Molten Giant. Now, this is a 50-50 because Molten Giant is still pretty much the best, I guess, tank in the game for PvE. PvP though is a whole different story. PvP is different, but as you can see here, level 20, it has crazy amount of health. 17,000 at level 20. Man, it deals pretty good damage. DPS is okay. Pairing this up with, AoE damage units right behind it is pretty crazy. So Molten Giant is really the best tank, in PvE, right? PvP, honestly, it's not up there. I don't use it for PvP, especially right now with season 3. It's just because it's for 6 gold. 6 gold is enough for a leader to be using. You don't need a tank that with 20,000 HP because I feel like the towers are so much closer with the newer maps that you don't really need a high powered tank. Because even if you deploy this for 6 gold, you have to wait probably another 5, 6 gold just to have the coverage right behind it. But the talent, people use threatening presence. I actually use blood of the mountain because on death it explodes, damaging nearby enemies. So I'm actually gonna put this guy to I'll put him in SS because he's still up there. People will still use him from time to time. I honestly don't use him for PvP um anymore. I used to, but not anymore. Now Mountaineer, another unit that not a lot of people use. The reason why is just because it's so much gold used for this and it's considered a tank, right? It's two. So you're not just killing the Mountaineer, you're trying to kill this bear that it has. Um, but it's not really the best. It really not the best. Um, for 6 gold, it's just there. I wouldn't use it honestly. The talent that people are using heal up to 3 additional nearby beasts when healing the bear. Now this could be good for PVE, but PvP is not really the best. No one is going to be using that, so I'm gonna put them in A. Now, what's this? Murloc Tide Hunters. The Murloc Tide Hunters are only good if you play it with a certain leader, which is Old Murkai, right? No one is gonna use these guys on any other deck because why use these two guys when you have a Dark Spiritual, right? Dark Spiritual can kill these guys instantly, even if they have the talent Safety Bubble, deploys a bubble that blocks the first attack. I feel like the longevity of Dark Spiritual is far better than these Murloc Tide Hunters, but they are a cycle unit, and using it with old Murkai is pretty OP. But I'm talking about for every deck, for any leader that you're going to be using. It's not really the best. As much as I want to say it's a really good unit, it's not really the best. So I'm going to put him here at A. Next one, Necromancer. Now, Necromancer is still pretty OP. It's only OP though if you have this talent, which is Jeweled Skulls, because it summons skeletal mages instead of skeletons. Now, if it just summons skeletons, it's just ground units. The only unit that's gonna have the AOE or not AOE, the aerial damage is just gonna be the Necromancer himself. But with Jeweled Skulls, summoning skeleton mages is a game changer because you're pretty much you can just defend. The mages can just hit all the aerial units as well. It's not just ground. It's a really great unit. Pairing this not just for undead leaders, you could use other decks with this. Necromancer is really up there. A lot of builds that people have goes well paired up with any tank. It's gonna be really good. Now, I've been seeing a lot of ogre mages. I honestly don't know why. I mean, it's pretty good for AoE. People would prefer the ogre mages more than the huntress, right? The reason why is just because I feel like because it does bloodlust, it gains 33% movement and attack speed. It's not just the bloodlust for itself, it does the bloodlust for your team, which is really good. Health is pretty good. And the talent that people would use a Frostfire Bolt, but I actually have Avarice, gain bloodlust when bloodlusting an ally. Because pairing it up with your troops and bloodlusting all of them is pretty OP, increasing the movement speed and the damage. So I'm actually gonna put the ogre here at SSS, or ogre mage I mean. Now here's old Murkai, but I'm gonna skip that. We're gonna go with Plague Farmer. Now, I personally do not use Plague Farmer whatsoever at all. Look at that. For level 20, for 2 gold, health is not that great. Damage is pretty good actually. But I don't really want to. There's more there's more better units for 2 compared for the Plague Farmer, especially for undead decks. Um, but the talent that people are using, Splashing Pumpkins, increase range by +1 and double the splash area. Um, it's not really a unit that everybody is using right now, so I'm actually put it at a, or actually no, I'll put it at needs a buff. I just realized I put this thing, but I'm not even putting anything on it other than the Chimera earlier, but the Chimera's not on here, right? So I'm gonna put needs a buff. If they could buff this Plague Farmer to something better, I mean, it's already good as is for 2 gold, but maybe if they could add something to just jazz it up, you know what I mean? We'll see. Polymorph. Oh my god. This is another one. Um Polymorph is an annoying spell. And this spell can help you in so many occasions of not just defense, but also offense. And people use the talent Golden Fleece. One sheep becomes golden, killing it grants +1 gold. Now, this duration is pretty good. Like, let's say like level like 15. Duration is 6 seconds. And it morphs anything. Leaders, even tanks. And the radius is good, and they can't attack you whatsoever. So if you have defensive units to just kill the enemy unit right away, it'll just kill them right away. With Golden Fleece, once you kill him, it grants 1 gold. Can't beat that for three gold, right? So Polymorph is up there. People use them a lot. It is an annoying thing to go against. Prowler, there you go. This is the one that counters the Huntress, not the Werewolf. Prowler does. This is a fast moving unit. It's really fast. It's a beast unit. Um, People use on the prowl, gain stealth, and stun the target when attacking from stealth. Even after you beat the enemy or kill the enemy, it goes back to stealth, which is pretty OP. Damage is pretty good. Health is pretty good. This is a pretty OP unit. Put this at SSS. Um, Next one would be the Pyromancer. Now, the Pyromancer has been moving up there in the ranks. A lot of people have been using this in their decks. Personally, I've actually been using this on my decks as well because it is an AoE damage unit. For 3 gold, it does a lot, right? People use Conflagrate or Conflagrate. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Splash area is doubled, but for me, I'm actually using Pyroblast because it deals triple damage on the first attack. Now, the reason why I use that is just because for high health units, if I'm defending, I'm mainly using this as a defend unit. It deals so much damage that almost obliterates that enemy right away. And it's an AoE damage, so if you're going against harpies or just trying to take off those harpies, one attack from that, straight gone, right? I personally would use Pyroblast, but I would use this at, or I would put that at SSS, this Pyromancer. Next one would be Quillbore. Oh my god, Quillbore. So they actually did, I believe, a patch recently, like a small patch, and they quote unquote nerfed Quillbore a little bit by his deploy seconds just increased a little bit more from the talent. But for 2 gold and it's unbound, you could put it anywhere in the map. This is actually the main tank that people use for PvP because it's to just use and soak up damage and just try to just kill a tower right away, right? People would use the Quill Bore, have the tower lock onto it or like the side tower, and then people would just use the skeletons to just wipe out that tower if the enemy does not defend it right away. It's a pretty OP combo. People use tunnel vision because it deploys much more quickly. um I don't even have tunnel vision. I haven't even unlocked. It's like 22 out of 25 stars. I'm almost there. I haven't really been buying it at the grid. I've been using Bramble Burst, inflict poison on nearby enemies when emerging. But Quillbore is still pretty much up there. I'd put him up here all day for 2. Next one will be the Raptors. Now the Raptors, like I said, it's the same thing as the old Murkai. It's only good for that deck. Raptors, you can deploy it, I believe, 4 times, and every Raptor just keeps growing and growing every single time. Um, People use the talent strength and numbers, deal 10% more damage for each other Raptor nearby. But if you deploy, let's say, one raptor and then you switch to another unit, it's just gone. Like this is a unit that you have to keep deploying and deploying and deploying just for it to increase. It's not really the best. I wouldn't really use it as much in PvP right now. Unfortunately, right now the old Murkai decks are pretty garbage in the season 3 at the moment with this enchant. Rend is another leader, really OP leader, but it's pretty much I'm not talking about leaders, right? Now, Safe Pilot. Oh my god. Um it hasn't been updated here. Now the stats could look pretty OP, but the stats got decreased a lot or nerfed a lot. And they pretty much nerfed coming in hot a lot by it says deploy twice as fast, but it's not going to be deployed twice as fast as anymore. And the burn doesn't inflict that much burn that much anyway. And the best talent is still Gnomish Cloaking Device because when you kill the enemy or deploy it in that area, it goes straight to stealth and you're going to try to ambush. But they nerfed the damage. Now, I don't have the updated version of it right now on here, but if you guys look at the patch notes on the recent patch, they nerfed the damage on the Safe Pilot a lot. So it could still be a very viable unit, but I don't think it can one-shot a lot of enemy troops anymore. So, and it's also still an unbound, it's still really good. But I'll still put it here at SS. It's still a great unit. But because of this patch recently that was just done, I had to put it down to just SS. So that's a pretty unfortunate. And then this Frostwolf Shaman. Oh my god. This unit is the only healer unit in this game that also does AoE. Or not AoE, it does range damage to the enemy units while healing your units. Doesn't that just sound OP? And with the talent Earth Shield, it grants armor to a nearby ally. Ability has one charge. Um, it's it's an OP unit. Pair it up with Footman. Pair it up with any tank. Pair it with Tyrion. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I mean, the healer on these tanks. I don't have to say too much more. Putting this at SSS, as you can see right there. Now the next one would be the skeleton party. So skeleton party, um, I believe this. If I know this is the one, raise a squad of range and yeah. This one, not a lot of people use the skeleton party. It's just because of the amount of gold being used. People would just rather use regular skeletons. It's just because you could use 5-man, summons a skeleton tank, rogue priest, and 2 mages for 5 gold. But the health isn't the best, so any spells can just obliterate that right away. And there's better units for 4 gold, honestly. So I'm just gonna use for that skeleton party wherever that is. I believe it's this one. I'm gonna put needs a buff actually. Maybe I'll put it there. It's just because if they actually increase the health or the damages for every skeleton, maybe that could be better. People would prefer using just regular skeletons. The reason why, for 2 gold and it's unbound, ridiculous, right? Damage is pretty good. Any spell can obliterate it, but you could just use the quill bore and then match the skeletons. It's a pretty crazy combo, right? But people use Exume as the talent because if deployed near a tower or meeting stones, deploy +2 additional skeletons. Now there's usually 3 skeletons, I believe, or 2 skeletons. I actually just forgot. But if you're adding just 2 more, pretty crazy at any tower to just help steal that tower right away. I'm gonna put it at SSS. The next one would be Smoke Bomb. So Smoke Bomb is honestly only good if you pair it with the other unit. I forgot which one. I already forgot what it was called. Where's it at? This one. This guy right here. You know where it is. You see my cursor. Pairing it with that, it's like the 1-2 combo. People are always going to be using these two because it's just for 1 gold and the other one is just 2. So for 3 gold, you could just get the tower if the enemy can't defend it. People use Through the Shadows. Affected minis move 50% faster until unstealth. The duration of 5 seconds is a lot in the PvP scene. 5 seconds is a lot. You would think it's not, but it really is. Um, Through the Shadows is the best, like I said, for that. So we'll actually put that here at SSS because right now it's a must need. Sneed, another leader I'm gonna skip. Spiderlings. No one uses spiderlings. I honestly don't use spiderlings. I'm not even gonna upplay it or downplay it. Nobody uses them. And don't even lie to me to say that you're gonna be using them because I swear to God, I have not touched spiderlings whatsoever. All of my units are like 17, 20 plus, and this thing is like level 12. And that's just because I either messed up in the beginning trying to choose it to level it up, or it's just like I just feel bad that it's such a low level. The talents, there's not even a best talent because nobody is using any of these talents or this unit whatsoever. So you already know I'm putting the spiderlings here at needs a buff because it's pretty much a unit that's just forgotten, right? Stonehoof Tauren. It's actually still a pretty good unit. I'm not even gonna lie because it just goes strictly. It does a lot of damage. It has a lot of health. The speed is pretty good, and it charges to enemy targets. So charging the enemy targets, it can counter the huntress right away. It's actually really good for what it is, and people use for the talent momentum. After connecting a charge, immediately charge a second time if possible. Um, I'll put this in SS because it's a pretty good unit, but it's kind of easier to counter it as well. Putting the cool bore in front of it so it could just stop right there and then just put another unbound unit to just kill it. It's pretty much what kills this stone hoof. That's why it's not SSS right away. Sylvanas, I'm skipping that because it's a leader. Tyrion, I'm skipping because that's a leader. Vultures. Now, a lot of people have been using vultures secretly in the upper ranks. Personally, I have still have yet to see the main purpose of the vultures. I don't use it personally, but a lot of people have been coming up in the PvP scene putting this in their deck because it's just a one gold unit. And then if one of the vultures kill the enemy unit, it adds another flock of birds. So it's pretty much chickens, but flying. So I don't know. And the talent they use is Tendon Rip, attacks dazed enemies for 3 seconds. So that's actually pretty good. Or if you put Feeding Frenzy, the flock gains Bloodlust for 5 seconds. Man, that's eh. But I don't really use it. So me personally, I'm gonna put it at A. I feel like, or I'll put it right here at A because I don't use it personally. But if you think that it's supposed to be in a different tier, then tell me in the comments down below. Now, next one is Warsong Grunts. Now, no one, I can't say no one, but I do not see these guys in the PvP in season 3 whatsoever. So let's say level 15 damage is okay, health is okay, but for 5 gold, that's a lot. You could have a better tank with the amount that you're going to be spending. It does have Fury, attack speed increases while in combat. Um, the talent that people would use is Command. Nearby beast allies deal 30% additional damage. That's actually a really good talent, but pairing it with more additional beast allies, there's not really a lot of beast allies that can just sustain everything right away. But it's still not a unit that people are going to be using. I feel like if they can probably adjust it a little bit, it'll be better. So I'm actually going to put it here at needs a buff because I feel like no one uses these Warsong grunts. Maybe they could like not nerf it, but buff it a little bit, put something to it. But Warsong Raider, people still use this because it's siege damage, or the traits it has the siege damage, double damage versus towers. Now this does a lot of damage to the tower. The problem is just getting to the tower, right? It is still a pretty fast unit. It is pretty fast. It's a horde unit, deals a lot of damage for 4 gold. It's pretty good. You could kind of use it as a tank in a way, but you don't want to because you want it to still have a lot of health while it reaches the tower, right? The talent that people use is raising focus, become a siege unit, ignoring enemy minis. So having that talent, it's this is pretty much just a gargoyle on the ground, but it does a lot of damage and it's fast as well, or faster than the gargoyle. So putting that, I'm gonna put it here at SS because it's pretty good, but it's not the best. Now, Whelp eggs is pretty much one of the best units in the game, especially in the PvP scene. Before, in the very beginning of the game, I honestly do not use these things, but the more that you play in the PvP scene, you use them a lot. Now, tell the reason why is just because you could they're unbound units, right? You could deploy anywhere in the map. The moment that the enemy actually like triggers by exploding them or trying to hit them, it deals damage when they hatch. So you can kill the pyromancer, flame waker the moment that they just hit it. It kills them. And then people use the talent Flame Burst, damage nearby enemies when hatching, which is the only talent that people would use. Um, and I feel like these swap eggs save so many people in PvP so many times. So putting that right there, I'm gonna put it at SSS. And then the very last one is the Worgen. Now, the Worgen, not a lot of people use. It is an alliance unit, and then it can have ambush or stealth, so it's not something that it's gonna die right away. Uh, Not a lot of people use it. I don't really have to go too much about it. I'm gonna just put it at A. But that's pretty much this whole, because everything down here is all just leaders, right? I'll save that for a separate video, but this is everything from SSS to SSA and then needs a buff. I feel like this is the most accurate where people would actually put these units at in this tier list maker, and I feel like this is the longest video that I will ever publish. I think this is like an hour long maybe. Um but I hope if you guys made it this far to this video, I greatly appreciate it if you subscribe, as well as give this video a thumbs up. Um, to the best of my knowledge, without fully being biased to every single unit, I wanted to give you guys a tier list, an updated tier list for PvP Season 3. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and let me know if you guys want me to make more. But this is a Marky Mark. I catch you guys in the next time. Peace.